Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been a varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. Currently, my daughter and I are coaching one of the best AAU teams in the country. And Piston fans, if you're pessimistic about our team and our future, you didn't watch the game tonight. If you think that this season was a waste of time or just all disappointment, you didn't watch the game tonight. We've had many exciting times, but Jalen Duren tonight and Jaden Ivey, our two rookies, 19 and 21-year-old players, they put on a show tonight against the Miami Heat. We lost the game 118 to 105, but it was 99-98. With 5 minutes left in the game, we were ahead, and we outscored 20-6 in the last 5 minutes. But those young players put on a show, and I've been begging Coach Casey to play Duren more. You listen to my past podcasts. He played 36 minutes tonight. He had 20 points, 7 for 8 from the field, and 14 rebounds, 2 block shots, and he was an animal out there. And I can't even imagine what his future is like if he can play at that level. I mean, Miami Heat, they are a playoff team, and they are they're fighting for every win. And we Duren just manhandled them. It was interesting. They said the Piston coaches have told Duren to watch videotape of Bam Adebayo. They're a great player, and he's been an all-star before. Well, I would say, Bam, you need to watch Jalen Duren play because he just completely outplayed him tonight. So it was a great game, but Ivey, he was just out of this world. And what we got out of this season, disappointment, terrible record, lost our 10th in a row, like 21 out of 22. But Ivey had played 37 minutes, scored 30 points, 11 for 15. He hit 2 baseline fadeaway jumpers that were just so tough that a lot of big-time players knocked down. He was he was 4 for 6 on threes, which his three-point shooting has drastically improved. Like I mentioned over and over again, his form is really solid now, and it's just a completely different shot. He said he's just been putting in the work, but he had 7 assists to go along, some great passes. He did have 5 turnovers. So the beginning of this game, we played well and we were right with them, but we turned in spite of our turnovers that Killian and Jaden had. But finally, I've been begging for Duren and Wiseman to play together. Wiseman didn't have the best game, but you could see how they can play together. And the minutes that they were on the court together, in the first quarter, we were played at least even despite the 5 turnovers by Killian and Jaden. And then in the third quarter, when we came back on them, we just completely dominated with those 2 guys out on the court. We got killed in the second quarter when we had a tough lineup in there. I mean, we had R.J. Hampton and Kojo and Amarui and Roden, or I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his name, but we were terrible, and we just got destroyed during those minutes. So, and then the game really was decided. Jimmy Butler, he had two points at halftime, and then in the third quarter he has like 7. And in the fourth quarter, he has 18, and he hit tough shots. I got really excited. I mean, we did a good job guarding him. I mean, 2 points at halftime. There was times that Duren was switched on him. I love the way that Duren and Wiseman switch out on people. I love the way they get down in their stance. They get low. They want the challenge. They want to guard guards, and they can move their feet. They still got to get better on defense. But it was just real impressive the way that they switched out and guarded him, and I thought that Livers did a pretty good job on him too. So another young player, Livers, and Isaiah Livers, like I said, he's had lots of ups and downs, and a big problem for him this year has been staying healthy. Well, tonight, he sprained his ankle. He was hurt real bad. He couldn't even hardly stand up. He knocked down 2 free throws, but I thought for sure he was done for the season, but he came back in this game, and he came back and he knocked down some shots. He played 24 minutes, and he had 15 points, 4 of 9, but 4 of 6 on threes. And, that was a gutsy performance by him to come back when he was injured that bad. But Big story for me though is I've been begging all season for Duren and Wiseman to play together. And tonight they finally got that chance. And I mean I'm so frustrated. We're playing Orlando, we're getting beat, and we get killed. We got killed in the second quarter. We got outscored by like 20 in the second quarter. But Duren and Wiseman each only got to play like 22 minutes that game. And Eugene Amarui, he plays 28 minutes, and he can't make a shot. He's ended up 6 for 17 and 3 for 11 on threes. He made 2 threes later in the game, but he was like 0 for or 1 for his first 9 or something. But he got to keep on playing, and we're losing this game, but we cannot play Liver and Wiseman together, Wiseman and Duren together. Well, finally tonight, Coach Casey did it and let them play together. And I will tell you, Wiseman, he was not efficient tonight. He got to play 30 minutes, so that's just what do we got to lose? He had 14 points. He was 6 for 14 shooting. He had a lot of his jump hooks. I still wish that he got a little more arc on his jump hook. It's pretty flat. He has a soft touch, and a lot of times, even though it's real flat, it goes in. He can shoot it real quickly. Another thing I think I'd love to see him do is many of his jump hooks, he had the perfect chance, the perfect angle to bank it in and use the backboard. He's right in there at close range, and your shot just goes in better when you use the backboard. But he didn't. Our other young player that played tonight besides Livers, Wiseman, Duren, and Ivey was Killian. He played 42 minutes. All the time Casey plays him lots of minutes, but he had 7 points, 3 for 8, 0 for 3 on threes. 1 rebound, 8 assists, 4 turnovers, and again, his just shooting has to get better. But a couple things I wanted to talk about. That was funny for me against the Magic. Duren got tangled up with this big guy for Orlando, Baptiste, and he's bigger than Duren, but Duren just grabbed a hold of him, didn't back down from him, kind of laughed at him, shook his finger at him, and I feel bad for another thing that happened against Orlando is there was a time when Killian was being a great teammate. He was Amarui, who plays hard. I'm not against Amarui. I admire him, the way that he plays. But he's not part of our future. The chances of him being in the rotation next year is like 1% or less. And so when we're playing him more minutes than we're playing Wiseman and Duren, and we can't play them together even when we're losing, it just didn't make any sense. But I'm jumping all around. I wasn't going to come on and do a podcast tonight, but I just got so pumped up about our young players and how bright their future is. Ivey was so sensational that Miami, to win the game, they blitzed him. They sent 2 players at him as soon as he got over half court, and they double teamed him to get the ball out of his hands. They treated him like a superstar, and he is showing the potential to do that. Another thing I want to say is, even watching when Wiseman doesn't play his best, James Wiseman plays his butt off every minute of every night, and he gets frustrated sometimes, and he makes mistakes sometimes. But he'll block a shot. He sprints to the other end. He fights for post position. A shot goes up. He doesn't get the ball thrown to him most of the time, but then he fights for every offensive rebound, just like Duren. Nobody's going to want to handle those 2 guys. And you put Cade Cunningham out there with those guys, and you watch out. It is going to be fun next year. It was funny. The game was not televised by Bally Sports, and so I had to listen to the Miami Heat announcers, and they were just praising Ivey and Duren and Wiseman, and they said that Ivey should be a no-brainer, that he is going to be on first team all rookie. Well, I talked to a couple podcasts ago about the national media and even Piston media people are saying that he's on the bubble, whether he's going to make. Some people say it's between him and Mathurin for the 5th spot on the first team all rookie, and some people think it's between him and Keegan Murray for the last spot. And I say that he's the second best rookie in the last part of the season. I think that he's the best rookie, and I think that he's undervalued by the league. And I think that we just need to. It's just going to be that way. And next year and the year after, especially when we start winning, I think that things will change and the Pistons will get looked at, in a lot more, positive way. And hopefully we get a chance to have guys make the All-Star game. But I think, we do have to win. And I do think if you watch tonight's performance, you have to be encouraged that we have the potential next year to take that giant leap that I'm talking about. And I do think a part of the giant leap would be to have a new coach. And so I think that, and people think that it's a knock on Coach Casey, but it's not. It's just that we need to find a coach who's better and who, can bring a spark and some energy and also improve our defense, be more creative on offense, and put the pieces together. Like Coach Casey was slow to play Duren and start Duren, and even I'm just a high school coach. I'm not a genius, but I knew right away that Duren needs to play. And again, recently he played only 19 minutes in a game, and he was 4 for 4, and he still only played 19 minutes. And what does a coach see out there? I'd like to. This is going to be a short podcast, but I would like to read to a letter that Troy Weaver wrote to send out to the Piston fans. You don't hear Troy talk in the media very much, but he said, rebuilding a team does not always follow a linear path. We experienced that this year with the injury to Cade Cunningham that forced him to miss a majority of the season. While the injury impacted the continuity of our team, it also presented an opportunity for growth for others. And again, who knows, the future of Jaden Ivey might be propelled by this season that he got to play that. He got to see what he could do without Cade. We got to see what a great passer he could be. And, I'm heartbroken. I love watching Cade Cunningham play more than any basketball player in the NBA. And so I was crushed when he got injured, but it did give us that opportunity to watch him play. So Troy continues, overall, our players have overwhelmingly embraced the core principle of going to work and competing every night. We are in an excellent spot to upgrade our roster this offseason. We've positioned ourselves for another high draft pick, and I got to say that, it finally came down to Troy Weaver that we were tanking, because we didn't tank most of the year. We just lost a lot of tough games and we had a lot of injuries, but we didn't tank like I felt we should. But at the end, they just kept all those players. They weren't returning. Stewart maybe could have returned, who knows? And I'm sure that Bogey maybe could have returned. And speaking of Bogey, I got to bring this up. Bogey averaged 21.6 points and he played most of the season. But out of he was the fourth, scored 21 points, over 20 points, but took the fourth fewest shots of any player in the NBA. So that scored over 20. So he was really efficient. He shot only 14.9 shots a game, and he was still that efficient. I still love it. He's still on the bench. He's still part of every film session. He still goes to every game. He's still completely connected with his team. I love seeing him and Cade sitting on the bench talking together, and he's helping our other players and educating them. But anyway, to continue with Troy's letter, he said, we positioned ourselves for another high draft pick. Again, that's what I'm saying. We tanked. And we have a favorable salary cap position, which Troy worked hard to do, and we'll continue to talk with teams and evaluate trade opportunities as they present themselves. And just before the draft, I would not be shocked if there is a trade, but it'll be the trade will depend on what we can get. Troy won't trade for nothing. I will say I don't agree with everything Troy says, and I think people that watch this podcast can obviously say, this guy's just overhyped Piston fan. But I mentioned before, I've been a Piston fan for over 50 years. I've watched lots of teams that have struggled, and I have had no optimism for the future of the team. And I've gone through 20-year stretches where we have done terrible. We haven't won a playoff game now for a lot of years. But I still, like you could tell tonight, I am excited about this team and their future and our young players, especially, Cade and Ivey and Duren. And then I still think that Wisman, we won't know for sure. I think by the middle of next year we'll have a much better idea if he can do what I think he can do. But he has shown definitely some signs. So to continue with this letter, make no mistake, we are all disappointed with our record this season, but we are confident that we continue to be on the right path to success. We appreciate your patience, trust, and loyal support as we continue this journey. You deserve the opportunity to celebrate this team once again as a fixture among the NBA's best, a bedrock of the city and its culture. We are partners with you in building greatness together. And I listen to other Piston podcasters. One of the reasons I started a podcast is because I listen to these guys, and some of them are pretty good, and some of them aren't. And now everybody, we just can't wait for the season to get over. The season has been such a drag, and I understand that for most Piston fans. But again, I just see too many upbeat, positive things. The team has not quit. The team fights. We have good chemistry. We have a good culture. And Troy and Coach Casey's had a big part of that, and so is Cade Cunningham and Bojan Bogdanovic, and we have a lot of good guys. Isaiah Stewart, we just have a lot of good guys on our team. And you watch these every game; they're fighting to the end. There's never a time, we get in trouble sometimes. We get out there, and tonight Miami was smart enough when we had Hampton out there and Roden and Omarumi and Kojo and stuff. They played a zone. Because they knew, they just dared us. They knew that we didn't have enough talent out there to beat a zone. So, anyway, if you're watching on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Please subscribe and leave a thumbs up. And also leave comments. I will try my best to respond to as many comments or every comment that I can. But please share it with a friend. If you have anybody that even cares about the Pistons, mention to them the Piston Fanatic podcast. Do something nice for somebody, make their day better, and go Pistons.